Is it recording? I don't know. I don't know if it's recording. You know what else I forgot? I forgot the sound. Ah. Alright, whatever. Good enough. Setting the timer. Dropping my light. I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. I need to stop doing this. I need to stop complaining about my problems and saying, oh, I need help. Like, oh, I'm just struggling with all this stuff and I need help. I am the one that needs to do the work. And that's what people don't realize is you have to do the work yourself. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel and I am back. I know I've been away for a while. This is really hard for me to do because I haven't done it in a while. I know I haven't done anything since the procrastination video that I uploaded, and I just want to let you guys know I haven't given up on this channel. I'm still going to make videos, but yeah, I kind of went through a period of like productivity and then just crashed out, and there's a bunch of reasons why. First of all, I got kind of nervous after I uploaded the procrastination video because I kind of had this fear like, oh my God, now that I've uploaded something, I have to be an expert at it and I have to be perfect at it. And if I'm not perfect at it and living that every day, then I'll be a fraud, which is silly. I was just trying to pass along some useful information. It doesn't mean that that one thing is going to make me an infinitely successful, like, overachiever person. So I was dealing with that, but I was also dealing with some stuff like chronic disability. I have narcolepsy, and I know I don't look like it when I'm in these videos. It's kind of like I'm either on or off, and when I'm off, I'm like way off, like can't get out of bed, can't open my eyes. I'm dreaming about waking up because I can't actually wake up, and you know, I'm in bed till 3 p.m. and I just like can't get up. I control it pretty well, just on my own. Like, if it's just up to me, I can have days, weeks, months where I don't have many symptoms at all. Like, you wouldn't be able to tell that I have narcolepsy because it's mostly triggered by environmental things. So certain foods, like I have celiac disease, so when I eat gluten, I get narcolepsy. You know, and if I smell a banana or eat an apple or eat a peanut or, you know, stuff like that. So like food allergies, but also environmental things like smelling a banana or pot. Pot is another environmental trigger for me, and it's a big one. And pot is legal here because I live in Oregon. And my neighbors have been smoking a lot of pot, and they've been doing it for a year, and it just like fills the bathroom. And then if we have the door closed, it even just goes under the door. Sometimes we wake up in the middle of the night and the whole bedroom is filled with smoke, and that's a problem. Especially if it happens when I'm sleeping, because then I can't wake up and I don't know why, because I didn't even know that it was there. So, yeah. But I've been dealing with that all summer. It's supposed to be taken care of soon by the landlords, but it's still not gone. So that's been really hard because, like, I'll make big plans, like tomorrow I'm going to do all this work and stuff, and then I'm just wiped out and I can't do anything. And obviously, like, the obvious answer is go outside and get fresh air. But that's when it's hardest to go outside and get fresh air. Like, that's when it's hardest to get up to, like, put on clothes and, like, go outside. And it's not just tiredness, like, I can't move, okay? Because one of the biggest symptoms I have is called cataplexy, and that's basically sleep paralysis when you're awake and you're walking around. Like, everyone gets sleep paralysis, like you wake up from a dream and you can't move and then like you have a sleep paralysis demon and it's just like a dream, but it seems real in the room. Well, I get sleep paralysis just randomly while I'm walking around. And it doesn't happen if I'm not consuming or like encountering the triggers, unless you tell me like a really funny joke or I've been up all night. Like those are things that'll make it happen too, because like narcolepsy never really goes away, but I can control it pretty well. But if there's been pot smoke just pouring into my bathroom all morning or all night or all afternoon, because they smoke at all hours. Like they smoked 55 times in 6 weeks. We counted. That's a lot of pot. So if that happens, I'm tripping over things and I'm dropping things, or like my right leg doesn't quite work and I'm limping around, or my speech is slurred, things like that. If I have a bad day, I might video it just so you guys can see. But anyway, so that's what's been going on with that. And so that had me down like all summer, all fall, just, you know, I wasn't really able to work much and it sucked. And then the other thing was my mom died in June, and then the funerals got dragged out for 4 months because like my sister and I live in Portland, Oregon, and then my dad lives down in Arizona, and then the rest of my family lives on the East Coast. And so she died in Arizona, and then they had friends down there, so they wanted to have a memorial service, but like my dad was having surgery like right when she died, and he was recovering from major surgery, so they couldn't do that till the end of July. And then like I guess my brother took her ashes to the East Coast, and then he you know, the family over there planned a funeral to actually bury her, because she's buried in Vermont. So so I went to that funeral, and that was in October. So that was in the first half of October. And so I spent a week there and went to the funeral. But then after I got home from the funeral, I just totally shut down, like completely. And I don't know if it was grief or depression or just resetting my life. I don't know. I'm probably everything. I mean, my grief about my mom was really complicated because her death is my freedom, right? So it's not like I miss her, but she was my mom, so I'm still sad about it. It's like really complicated. I mean, we didn't really have a good relationship when I was an adult, because she just wasn't interested. So, and a lot of things around her death were just like PTSD triggers. So, you know, I would be having a good day and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in the studio and work, and then all of a sudden like grief would hit me and I'd just be like crying, and I'd be like, oh crap, like I can't sing while I'm crying. So yeah, anyway, so it's been 2 months and I haven't really done anything. I've just been sitting around, but I've still been learning. I've been journaling, I've been learning. I've been watching a lot of videos still about psychology and nutrition and food science and, you know, things that I'm still interested in. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I really need to get my life back on track, right? Like I really need to just get going again. So how do I do that? So I've been trying to learn how to do that, and I have gathered a bunch of information from the remote reaches of YouTube, and I've compiled it all in my journal. And so I thought I would share that information with you, because what I have decided now is I've taken a few weeks to digest that information, process it, and then try to apply it to my life. And one of the things I encountered with doing like all this self-help stuff is that I reached a point where it suddenly felt like all the people that I had watched for a while, they felt stuck at a certain level. And I felt like I was surpassing that. And it kind of felt like if you're climbing up a mountain, at the base of the mountain, there's so many boulders, and you can just like, you know, climb here and there, you can grab this rock and that rock, and you know, and you're constantly making progress. But as you get higher and higher, the peak gets narrower and narrower, until finally you're just standing at the top and there's nothing left to grab onto, and it's just you, and the only way to go anywhere now is to fly, and you have to fly on your own. And so I realized like, oh, I'm starting to outgrow my teachers. And so I sort of spent the last couple of weeks searching for specific answers to specific questions I had about like, how do I fly? What do I do now? And I think I have found some really good answers. So I was going to share those with you. Anyway, I have this journal. And I write down, I basically, every time I find like a really good quote from a YouTube video or something, I'll transcribe it like word for word into my journal. And it's a really good, it's a really good way to like fix it in my head and remember it, because I have trouble remembering things, and my brain will just dump it, especially if it's extremely poignant or relevant or like really hits home. My brain is like, nope, we don't need that. That's emotional. You're gonna cry. Like, get rid of that. So I put it in this journal. And so this one started May 2018. So it's been about a year and a half, and I'm almost done. I'm gonna transcribe my account of the funeral at the end, because the next journal is on the way in the mail, and I want to start. The first journal was the first year of my coping with like remembering what happened in childhood and dealing with my trauma and figuring out what happened and why and what's going on. And that was like a year and a day. And then this journal is, okay, what do I do next? Right? So how do I move beyond that and start living my life? So now I feel like after a year and a half, I've finally come to the end of that part of the journey. And so I'm going to put my account of the funeral at the end of this journal just to close out that chapter of my life. And then the next journal is going to be moving forward and what I actually do. So anyway. Oh, so I was watching The Game Changers, and I know that this has really been in the news lately, the Game Changers movie, which is like the vegan athletes. I wanted to see what it was all about, and it was pretty good. But what I really liked at the beginning was the narrator was talking about Bruce Lee's philosophy of life, right? And he said, research your own experience, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. And that's exactly what I've been doing, right? So when I get to the top of this mountain peak and I'm like, I have outgrown my teachers. And also when I find people where it's like, hey, that one video was cool, I liked that, but oh my God, they made this other video and I totally disagree with it. And I feel like there's this culture on YouTube where it's like you either have to like totally 100% subscribe to someone or like totally reject them and like, oh no, I'm never watching your videos. And actually, what's better, what's more mature and healthy is to watch the videos, take what information is useful to you, discard what isn't, and then take it and move on to the next thing. So that's what I've been trying to do. Okay. So you're never going to agree with everyone all the time. That is not a healthy way to live in any place, online, offline, whatever. So, and then there was another quote from that movie. What are you going to do with your strength? What are you going to do with the power that you have? So I've been trying to find quotes like this that really get me to think about what is my power? What are my strengths? What do I want to do with my life? And I find these really helpful. Then I started watching Matt Kama videos, and he said, what is the benefit that you are receiving for staying in a certain habit, a certain emotional pattern, or a certain life circumstance right now? Because I'm analyzing my current life patterns. Why are they not working for me? And so I was like, okay, well, I actually left a comment on the video. I was like, okay, so if I figure that out, if I figure what the benefit is, then what? Like, that's not really an instruction for life, right? It's just, I can think of so many benefits for sitting around and playing phone games and watching YouTube videos and drinking blueberry oat smoothies and not getting off my ass and getting work done and going to the gym and shit like that. So, I kept looking. And then I found a video by, it was a TEDx talk. Yeah, it was a talk by Benjamin Hardy, and it was called The 100% Rule That Will Change Your Life. Now, I have to preface this by saying I am really tired of the number increment of time rule. That formula that everyone's applying. There's the 5-second rule and the 5-minute rule and the 100% rule and I'm so tired of it, because at some point it just becomes a sales pitch. It just becomes a gimmick and it doesn't help. But that being said, I will tell you what the 100% rule is. So basically, his philosophy is if you don't commit 100% to something, you haven't really committed to it, right? So he said if you're only 98% committed to something, what that means is you're not actually truly committed. And he talks about decision fatigue, and I found this idea really interesting. So this comes down to willpower, like why people have terrible willpower. It's because you experience decision fatigue, okay? If you haven't committed 100% to doing something, like let's say you've decided, okay, we'll use my example, right? So my weakness is a certain brand of cookies at a certain grocery store. And I don't otherwise eat cookies because I have so many dietary restrictions. I can't. But there's one brand in one store that I can eat. So every time I go to the store, I'm like, oh my God, I want those cookies, right? And I haven't committed 100% to not eating them. And so, you know, his theory is that if you haven't committed 100% to not eating those cookies, or if I haven't committed 100% to not eating those cookies, when I walk into that store, I am going to have a dialogue with myself where I'm going to be like, I shouldn't eat them, but I really want to, but I haven't, but oh, maybe I could just do it this one time, but I don't know, should I, shouldn't I don't know. And then you start to experience decision fatigue. And if you experience that, the situation will always win. Right? So if I start to experience decision fatigue, the environment is going to win. The cookies are there. I've got the $5. I can buy the box. I can take them home. I'm going to take them home. And that happens every time. If you decide to go all in 100%, not for a period of time, right? Like if you say, okay, I'm going to do it for 2 weeks, you haven't really committed to it. Because at the end of the 2 weeks, first of all, you're telling yourself, I'm only good enough to do it for 2 weeks. I'm only strong enough to do it for 2 weeks. And then at the end of 2 weeks, you're just going to go right back to your old habits again and nothing will have changed. And you'll think like, maybe I'll be a little stronger about it. Maybe I'll be able to do it a little bit better, but you won't. You won't, because the environment will always win, right? Like going to the gym. You know, if you're sitting in your comfy chair playing your games or like doing whatever you do, that's your relaxing thing, and then you know you have to go to the gym. If you haven't committed 100% to going to the gym every day, no matter what, that decision fatigue sets in and you're like, oh, but I'm comfy, so I'm just going to stay here. And you won't go to the gym. Anyway, the other thing he said is that the Latin root of decision literally means to cut something off. So when you make a decision, you've cut the alternatives out, right? There's no backup plan. There's no alternative. There's no plan B. You cut it out. Oh, okay. We gotta stop. And I looked it up, and yes, okay, so the word decision, this is from the dictionary, from Old French, from Latin decisio, literally a cutting off. Decide, from Old French decider. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, I took Spanish. From Latin decidere, literally to cut off, from cedere, to cut. So this made me think about my profession, right? Because I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer, I'm a composer. I don't know quite what I want to do with that yet, but that's okay, because I'm getting to something next where like I don't have to know exactly what I want to do. But in the back of my mind, lot of times in the front of my mind, I always have this plan B to fall back on my old profession, being a scientist. I'm like, maybe I could just, maybe I'll just have to apply to a job in a lab and just go back to the lab. Like maybe I should just start earning money to save up money for my son's college education or something. Like, I feel like I'm running out of time for that and I'm not doing anything. And so maybe this just isn't going to pan out. Maybe I should just, go back. And because I do that, I haven't decided to just go full force with my music, right? And because I haven't decided to go full force with my music, I don't freaking do anything with my music. So I have to decide to go all in if I'm going to do anything. I really, really, really do. So that was really useful to me. All right, then I found how I trick my brain to like doing hard things, because I'm like, okay, but then how do you do this? How do you go forward, make the decision, and then like, how do you freaking get stuff done? I still don't know how to get stuff done, right? So this was from the channel Better Ideas, and it's called How I Trick My Brain to Like Doing Hard Things. This was freaking amazing. So number one, learn to enjoy the process. I did like a whole summary of the whole video because it was great. Learn to enjoy the process. Stop generating motivation by fantasizing about an end goal. End goals are always moving targets. You will never feel like you've arrived. Stagnation breeds destruction. If you sit on your winnings, everything will fall apart. You need to keep moving. You have to love the daily discipline of going to battle every single day and finding pleasure and fulfillment in the present moment for its own sake. The happy place is doing the thing, right? So it's kind of like there's a phone game I really love to play called Block Doku. I love playing it for the sake of clearing the blocks. I don't care what my score is. I don't care if I've won, and I don't care if I lose, because that just means I get a blank slate and I get to clear more stuff. That kind of mentality is how I need to be about my career and my daily life, right? About everything, about going to the gym or losing weight or whatever. It's not about this like mythical end goal that you may or may not get to and like torturing yourself in hopes you might get there. But it's about waking up every day and enjoying the process and doing the process. That's really key to doing something long term, okay? Because if you hate it, why waste your life on it, right? Then he says, use goals for direction, not motivation. Goals are the compass, not the focus, right? So every once in a while, you orient yourself like, okay, that's the direction I'm going in. And then you do your stuff. And then, okay, yep, that's okay, I'm still on track. And then you do your stuff again. Operate from an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. So this is number 2, right? So he said, humans have an innate sense of wanting to stay intellectually consistent. You will operate according to whatever you think your identity is. And this is a big thing I've been struggling with, is my identity. Because, in processing all the stuff that happened to me growing up, my mom projected herself on me. I was supposed to become a mini her. I wasn't allowed to be myself or get the music I liked or do the hobbies I liked or take the music lessons. I wasn't even allowed to play the instruments I liked for years. It always had to be what she wanted. So, I couldn't dress how I wanted. I couldn't look how I wanted. I couldn't express myself physically. I couldn't express myself artistically. I couldn't, I had to be her and what she approved and what she wanted, right? What made her happy. And so I've been struggling with my identity. Now, I don't suffer from a poor sense of self like she did, or like some people with personality disorders will have a poor sense of self because they never developed it in childhood. I actually do have a pretty strong sense of self. It's just that I keep denying it because I was taught to, right? So I'm trying to figure out like how to bring it out, how to do that, how to finally be my true self and live my true life. Because it's scary. It's really scary because I was physically punished as a child when I would try to express my authentic self. So, I still have those fears of like, oh, it's not safe. Like, I can't do it. Yes, you can. So, like, even just wearing the clothes that I want. Now, that's hard because I'm overweight. So I can't just buy everything I like that's super stylish that I would like to wear. But for a long time, I didn't think I had a good sense of style. I do. But I do it in the virtual world. I do it in Second Life. Second Life is safe to do it in. I can totally be myself. I make avatars all the time. I'm always looking for the latest styles. I'm always making new outfits, making new looks, making new avatars, taking pictures of them, doing artwork with them. Always. So I do have that in me. But it took a while before I realized, oh, I need to make myself the avatar. I need to stop spending so much effort doing it there and do it here in the real world, right? So that's one of the things I'm working on. That's why I go to Tord every once in a while, because I'm trying to replace my old same t-shirt every day kind of wardrobe with more stuff like this, like fun sweaters or fun t-shirts or, cool jeans or something. So that eventually I'll have a whole wardrobe of different stuff that I like to wear that's fun. And I don't have to wear the same t-shirt every day anymore. But it costs money, and so that takes time to accrue, and it's fine. That's a long-term goal. So he's talking about operating from an abundance mindset. And it's all about your identity and what you're telling yourself you are, right? So his example was saying, I need to go to the gym to get jacked, which means strong. That implies that you are not jacked. It is a scarcity mindset. If you're constantly telling yourself you are not jacked, what do not jacked people do? They don't go to the gym. From this scarcity mindset, going to the gym will always be something that's outside of yourself, something that's unnatural for you. Try reminding yourself that the reason you want to go to the gym is because you're an active person and going to the gym is something that's important to you, that your health is important to you. Therefore, since you're an active person, going to the gym is just something you do. And I tried this and it freaking works. I was going to go to the gym and I was telling myself, I'm an active person. I'm an active person. And then I had to go pull my gym shorts out of the laundry. And I stopped myself and I was like, well, I could just dig through the laundry basket because I had just done laundry. I could just dig through the laundry basket to get the shorts. But what do active people do? Active people fold their laundry and put it away. So I actually folded the laundry and it was easy. I didn't have to think about it. I just did it because I'm an active person and folding laundry is what active people do. It worked so well. It's hard to maintain right now because it's one of those things where I'm creating new neural pathways. I will get to that in a minute. So it takes effort to do every time. So it doesn't always work every time and I don't always think to do it. So it's not something where it's once you say it to yourself, boom, I'm a changed person. No, that's not how it works. But it does work when you use it. So you just have to use it over and over and over again. All right. Example number 2 is changing how you talk about the things you do in your daily life. So his other example was John Mayer. So John Mayer doesn't practice. He never uses the word practice. He goes home and plays for fun. He just plays his guitar for fun and he plays the same thing over and over and over again because he thinks it's fun. He just enjoys it. And then when he's on stage, he's like, I'm just kind of doing the same thing I just do at home, but I'm doing it for you guys. He doesn't think of it as practice performance. He's just I'm just playing my guitar in different places because I like playing guitar. And, if you can reframe your tasks and your, whatever you're doing as that, just make this so much easier. I kind of have the same thing with singing where I don't practice singing. I don't rehearse. I don't do formal, I warm up, but I don't do practice. I just perform all the time. I'm just recording all the time. And the act of recording all the time ends up being the rehearsal, being the practice, the repetitive practice, but I never think of it as practice. I always think of it as the final product, and I'm just constantly working on the final product, but it may take me longer because actually a lot of that's practice. But I never think of it that way. I always think every time, like, this could be the good take, and then I'm done, right? And his third tip was utilize habit bunching. And oh my gosh, guys, this is a game changer. Like, seriously, habit bunching. I have been doing this so much in the last week, and it has worked so well. So habit bunching is where you pair an existing habit that you have with a new habit you want to learn, right? Or develop. So his example was reading. He wants to become a reader, but he never thinks to pick up a book, or he never makes time for it. So he paired it with drinking coffee because he drinks coffee all the time. So he decided, okay, every time I drink coffee, I'm going to open a book. Okay? And then he became a reader, and now he's a reader. I tried habit bunching with my new phone. So I just got an iPhone, and I switched from being like a lifelong Android user. Not literally lifelong because I'm much older than smartphones are, but I've used Android since they came out, and I'd never used an iPhone before. And there's lots of reasons for that. I mean, like, I wasn't on AT&T, and the iPhones were exclusive to AT&T when they first came out for years. And so I didn't have access to iPhone to begin with because I didn't want shitty cell phone service. But, then I've just never really been an Apple person. And so I'm like, iPhone is kind of overrated. Like, it's just a smartphone like any other. For a while, I really felt like other smartphones were better than iPhones, and I'm not convinced I'm wrong. But now they're amazing. And so my wife switched to iPhone recently, and then she started playing with it. I'm like, oh my God, these are like freaking magic totems forged by wizards in caverns. Like, holy crap, like, these are so amazing. I want one. So I got an iPhone, and I've just been like, oh, but the learning curve is just like so hard. Oh my gosh. So there's so many things I have to learn about this phone because it works so much differently, like all the hidden little swipey menus and stuff. But I decided, okay, I've got a new phone, and I'm learning how to use it, and I'm using it all the time. So I will habit bunch with new things I want to do and tie it to this phone, right? I'm developing new habits with this phone, but I'm always using it, so I will include those new habits I want in the phone. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The best one that's worked for me is I got Apple TV. Oh my God, Apple TV. And I started watching The Morning Show, which is an amazing show. I just love it so much. But I only watch it at the gym. So if I want to know what happens in the next episode, I have to go walk on the treadmill for an hour. And that works. Like, that got me to the gym for a whole week. The next week, I totally crashed out and I didn't do anything. So it's like, the ups and downs of new habits. But this week, I'm back in the gym, and I just watched episode 6, and I'm like, oh my God, it's getting crazy. So, I will only binge watch in the gym now, and that's my new habit bunch, and it's working. So, like, some things are going to work and some things won't. Like, on the phone, I got a reminder app, and then I put it in the widgets. So when I swipe to that screen that just got like your daily thing of like your upcoming calendar stuff and your news and whatever, I have that like reminders and the task, like the to-do list, to remind myself, oh yeah, I gotta clean the bathroom. Oh yeah, I've gotta go in the studio. I haven't committed to following those lists no matter what, or following alarms no matter what, or following reminders no matter what. And so I'm falling back into old habits of like Fitbit. Like I used to set a go to bed reminder on my Fitbit app. And I immediately learned how to ignore it and turn it off and be like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to stay up till 2 a.m. So that was a hard one for me. But the habit bunching with binge watching my shows in the gym, oh my God, it worked really well. So you just got to find what works for you. So then I found a really good complement to that video called Brain Surgeon's Advice on How to Stop Negative Behaviors and Strengthen Your Mind. And that is on Tom Bailu's channel. It's an interview with Rahul Jandial. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I really apologize. Rahul Jandial. I think he wrote a book. He's a neuroscientist, and he was talking about the neurological process for forming a new habit. And basically, he was talking about the energy efficiency of the brain. So he said, the brain is an energy hog, and it wants to be efficient. So this whole myth that we only use 20% of our brain, or people say 10%, that's a myth. No, we use 100%, and that is true. I'm a neuroscientist too. I can confirm that it is true. You use all of your brain. If you didn't use all of your brain, it would atrophy and go away, and you would only have 10% of a brain left. So you use all of your brain. So we use 100% of our brain, but to get things done, we might only use 15%. Because your brain doesn't store its own energy and it doesn't make its own energy. Your brain relies on your liver to provide energy to your brain. And so a lot of the glucose that your liver is storing, putting out, is going to your brain so you can think and be alive. And the more you're using the brain, the more of your overall energy you're using. So to get things done, we might only use 15%, and to get something complicated done, we might only use 35%. Otherwise, you wouldn't be an efficient animal or human on the savannah if you couldn't really control this important thing. But not having it in fifth gear all the time is an evolutionary strategy, in my opinion. So then it falls in ruts, because efficiency is about ruts, right? Habits are about efficient ruts that your brain can fall into and just automatically do without using much energy to think about it. Yes, that's where I am. I'm in a super duper mega efficient rut. And the best way I can explain it is you grow the way the electricity flows, the way the connections prioritize is a bit like skiing down a mountain. It starts creating these electrical grooves of a sort where if you see something, you see a cliff, you feel fear automatically. It goes down a certain path, and every time you do that, you reinforce that path. It actually becomes less expensive energy-wise to follow and fall into that habit. So these pathways, these habits in our mind, these rituals, these things that are good for us, we want to hold on to those, but a lot of them have become deeply carved roots down the mountain. And filling those in, burying them, and finding healthier ones is going to be an energy expending process. I can totally confirm this because when I got my iPhone, the learning curve was so high, I was exhausted at the end of the day. Totally wiped out just from buying a new phone and trying to figure out how to find things in it. Totally exhausted because it was so different and I had to learn so much. And of course, with a new phone, it's a shiny new gadget, right? And you want to do it. But when it's something you don't want to do, it is so hard to overcome that inertia to get out of that efficient groove and go to one that costs a lot of energy. It can be physically painful at times to just get out of your chair and go do the thing you need to do. It was so hard for me to do that today, I'm telling you. But I did it. But I didn't do it in the morning. It took me a while to get out of my chair. The effort will be harder in the beginning, and then as you create a new route down the mountain, you can condition yourself to have more favorable and constructive responses. That's the best way I can explain why effort will lead to change, and your most effort will be spent at the beginning, and you can change your emotional and cognitive responses by conditioning yourself to find a different route down the mountain. But it takes repetition, and it takes a lot of effort at the beginning, but it won't take a lot of effort forever. That's the good news. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm gonna stop with the stuff there. I mean, I've just outgrown a lot of stuff online that I've been doing. The better ideas channel has a Facebook group, and it's called Improvement Hub. And I thought, oh, I'll go there and maybe people will have like cool ideas and stuff. And it turned out that everyone there, most people there, were all just lost, looking for answers on how to live their life. And most people, the answer was do self-esteem work. And I ended up giving a lot more answers to people and a lot more help to people than I got in return, because I just didn't really need their help. And it just gave me this perspective on this whole self-help culture in general, and how there are so many people that are so desperate for answers. And they want someone to hold their hand. And they want someone to tell them what to do and to pick them up and dust them off and just say, okay, like here, and send them on their way and hold their hand and drag them through it, or cast them into their fate because they can't do it themselves. So there was a video I was watching on, it was a book review. I think he was reviewing 50 Shades of Grey. His name is Dom, and I can't remember the name of the channel. I apologize. But he was reviewing, sarcastically and satirically reviewing 50 Shades of Grey. And he started talking about how one of the main character's things was that she was just sort of cast into this ordeal, and it was sort of like this fantasy of people with low self-esteem to be cast into their fate and not have to make that decision and do the hard work. And he was talking about how that's why Spider-Man was so appealing to him as a teenager, because he was just sort of this dorky teenager with no self-esteem, and it was so appealing that Peter Parker was like that too, and he was just cast into his lot, and then he just had to adapt, and he became this badass overnight without doing anything or without trying. It was just given to him. And I feel like I have that too. I mean, so many people do. And this Improvement Hub group was that on like a very large scale, and all of a sudden it was more than just like a person here or a person there. It was like this massive group. I don't even want to say group of people. It was like just this massive crowd of people all shouting. That was worse than the Mel Robbins audience. There a lot of them are like that too. And I mean, I have totally done this, and I did it again the other night, and it finally made me realize, no, I was going to leave this group a couple weeks ago, and I really should have. And I need to stop doing this. I need to stop complaining about my problems and saying, oh, I need help. Like, oh, I'm just struggling with all this stuff and I need help. I am the one that needs to do the work. And that's what people don't realize, is you have to do the work yourself. There was a life coach, or it was either a life coach or a therapist, who charges money for their services. And they were talking on some video I saw about how really it's up to the client, and the client has to do all the work. And I'm like, why are they paying you? Right? If they have to do all the work, then why don't they just do the work? Like, why are they paying you? But it's kind of like that whole thing about how, you know, a pilgrim goes to a guru and asks how to find enlightenment, and the guru makes up all these quests for the student to go on, because the student can't just accept that they could just be enlightened. They feel like they have to earn it, and it's as hard as you think it is. It's as hard as you want it to be, right? And so if they don't go on all these pointless quests to feel like they've earned it, they won't accept it, or they won't do it. Like, you have to do the work. And so I realized the other night, I had a talk with someone, and I just finally just came to the realization that no, I need to do this myself. So I went to the gym today, and by the end of the show that I was watching, by the end of the workout, I was just like, that's it. I need to make a schedule for myself. There are a whole bunch of things I need to do every day. If I'm going to get my life back on track, I have to do the work, and I've got to make a schedule for myself. And so I went home, and I was in the bathroom. I was about to take a shower, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I just looked into my own eyes, and I looked into the blackness of my pupil and just like stared into my own soul. And I was just like, this is it. We're doing this. It was a really intense moment. So that's where I am now. And I finally made this video. I've been trying to make this video for like weeks and weeks, but I just couldn't get off my ass and do it. And I've done it. And so now I'm back. I've made a schedule for myself. I've already got it on my computer. I'm going to set alarms. I'm going to listen to the alarms and drop what I'm doing and do the stuff when it's time to do the stuff. Even if I don't want to, even if it hurts, it's only going to hurt for a little while. Eventually I'll be habit, and I'll just know like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. I need to go here. Oh, it's noon. I need to go here. Oh, you know, whatever. And then eventually it'll be easy. It'll be habit, and it'll just flow, right? It'll just flow right down the mountain in all of those little grooves, and it'll be the most comfortable thing ever. So, you know, that's what I gotta do. So anyway, thank you for your attention, and thank you for sticking around so long. And yeah, that's it for now, and I will see you soon. And if you liked this video, please like and share it. If I can get 100 subscribers, I can get my own custom URL. I don't have to be like random letters and numbers anymore. So yeah, anyway, that's it, and I will see you soon. Bye.